Evicted makes for a very enjoyable episode that manages to balance key aspects of good writing, and Marceline the Vampire Queen holds it all together. Hello everybody, welcome back to another Adventure Time review. In the last episode, we took a look at Wizard. In today's episode, it's going to be, as I said at the start, Evicted. So without further ado, let's get into the video. This episode opens with Jake telling Finn a horror story, with Finn feeling progressively less dismissive and more nervous as Jake continues. This leads Finn to attempt to fall asleep while he sees a shadowy figure in the window. Lightning strikes in the raining background and Finn briefly sees a terrifying image. He runs to Jake and explains what just happened. Jake implied that Finn is just startled by the story and he admits to bullshitting everything. With Finn on edge, the window opens, but it's just the wind. Jake, however, was mortified by it. Finn mocks him, but then a strange giggle is heard. Enter Marceline. She introduces herself, and while Finn and Jake are on edge, they become less tense as she explains that while she is a vampire, she only feeds off the color
red. Call it!
I thought this choice to make her feed off of the color as opposed to blood was a pretty creative decision. It'd be easy to give her the more traditional I drink blood and you're gonna die sort of storyline. She drops the name of the Fire Kingdom in her tales, which I think is super neat considering that Adventure Time, I could be wrong about this, doesn't use the Fire Kingdom until well into the 3rd season. One thing I did take issue with, however, was that in one of her flashbacks, she was out midday, when even later in Season 1, the daytime proves fatal to her if exposed to it for maybe a few minutes at most. Maybe the writers had chosen to add that later, but it feels like she was written in the first episode with a different image in mind compared to what she would be an episode later. Beyond that, I enjoyed her laid-back persona. It's fun to see the two boys warm up to her rather quickly, even if not completely. From here, she tells the duo to hit the road, as she had the treehouse marked with an M, signifying she was here first. While I do understand the plot, there's nothing saying she didn't just enter the treehouse and put that M there quite recently while the boys were out adventuring or whatever it may be. Honestly though, I think the boys just sort of taking it at face value almost makes sense. After all, if the boys did rebuttal, Marceline could have very easily overpowered them, seeing as she can fly, shapeshift, and can drink their blood. Hit the road or hit the 6-foot divot. Your move. Finn is pissed that they lost their house, and while he wants to kill Marceline, Jake insists that Marceline could kill Finn instead. He then begins to give Finn some optimism that home is where the heart is, and that things will turn around and luck will shine. It makes for a nice brotherly moment.
On our way. Hey look! See? What'd I tell you?
House Hunting, a great song sung by Pendleton Ward and Olivia Olson, is played as a montage shows the duo finding an array of possible homes. Kudos to Word for the ambitious and daring lyric of "You should have stayed and fought that sexy vampire lady." I doubt that lyric would fly nowadays in a kid's show.
You know you should have stayed and fought that sexy vampire lady.
We also learn that Marceline is 1,000 years old here. Despite their misfortune, it still made for a good tune, a comedic adventure, and a memorable part of Adventure Time. Great job, Adventure Time. Great job. Finn feels discouraged and Jake reassures him to the best of his abilities. John DiMaggio's hard rock voice over the calm viola Jake was playing was funny and cool.
Home isn't a place. Let me give you a clue.
The duo found themselves in a cave, and after some time they set up their home and threw a party. It was nice to see a couple Candy Kingdom citizens as well as tree trunks. But all joy was lost when Marceline appeared, and the M is shown again. This time though, I can buy Marceline actually being in possession of the cave first, as Finn and Jake have likely never been inside that cave before. Jake is both nervous and passive. Finn is ready to kill. Jake reassures Finn that they should just leave. Finn concedes, stating that Jake is his home and he will always have a better home than Marceline. Marceline takes Jake and Finn slaps him out of her grasp. The beast is awoken and the fight begins. Finn is getting his ass kicked pretty bad when Jake steps in to protect Finn, which leads to Jake getting bit and killed. I was probably 8 or 9 when I saw this episode for the first time, so I could only imagine my horror. With Jake looking like a colorless raisin, Finn is livid and lands a punch on Marceline. Marceline could have killed Finn here, but chooses to kiss him on the cheek as appreciation for the fun fight. Jake proves to be fine as we find out his organs and blood was moved into his thumb and it saved him. I would call bullshit, but Jake is a magic dog, so all is possible. If he can stretch his organs, I'm sure moving them into other parts of his body isn't a problem. Marceline says that the treehouse is all theirs, bringing Evicted to an end. Evicted was a great episode and probably my favorite so far. It had greatly handled comedy, entertaining action, a good song, heartwarming interactions between Finn and Jake, and it introduced Marceline, who will eventually become one of my favorite characters down the road. I did have mild issues with the validity of Marceline's M as well as her backstory being exposed in the sun. But one is based around inquiry and the other could just be a small change they decided to incorporate later on. Very mild stuff. Compared to the other seasons, this isn't Adventure Time at its best, but for what it does now, it's a wonderful episode. I'm more than happy to say that as far as Season 1 quality goes, this episode earns an incredible 9.5 out of 10. A fantastic episode that most individuals will both enjoy and remember, with mere nitpicks in the cracks. While this is the end of this review, I did want to take a moment and thank you guys for the immaculate support on the shorts and the growth of my channel overall. I was absolutely flabbergasted to see my numbers change like that. But with all that said, guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care for now. Goodbye.